All right, Tommy's here. I expect Noel shortly. Why don't we get started with the preliminaries? I'm Don Carlson, the chairman. With me tonight from the Green Bay City Planning staff is Paul Newmeyer. And other members of the Board of Appeals are Jim Hutchison, Tommy Everman, and Tom Hoy. So we have 4 members. I expect a 5th one shortly. In the meantime, gentlemen, were any of you out to see any of the properties before us tonight?
No.
Yes, I was to the one on Quincy and the one on Cherry.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Do any of you anticipate abstaining from any on the issues tonight?
No.
No,
And did you speak with anyone regarding the requests before us tonight?
No.
no.
All right, good. We have enough of enough members to have a quorum. So I will ask you for your thoughts on the agenda. And if you're in agreement, we should have a motion.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Are you all in favor of approving the agenda from the last meeting, or for this meeting, excuse me?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Now we get to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Do you have any considerations to make? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the September meeting. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. At this point, we should have a motion to open the floor for discussion.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to open the floor for discussion of the items tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. I guess we can proceed. First item on the agenda is the election that we keep putting off. I'd like to suggest that we put it off again since Greg is not on the meeting. Perhaps a motion should be made and seconded to proceed with that.
Motion to carry that over to next month.
I'll second that.
Good. Good. Those in favor of pushing the election forward to next month, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, good. First item up, still don't have Noel, but I think we know enough to proceed without him. First item up is the 417 North Ashland Avenue. You want to tee us up, Paul?
Sure. Can you see the screen?
I don't see any sharing. I just see that you've tried.
Okay.
Is there something I should be doing here?
No,
Maybe there's
there we go.
There we
There's
go.
a slight delay. Yep. Sorry about that.
Got it.
So this is a property located on the near northwest side of Green Bay along North Ashland at 417. This is for a potential driveway expansion. This is the subject property here on the west side of North Ashland. You can have an overhead view of the property. I believe it's a 2-family use. And this is the subject area right here with the expansion of the driveway, basically doubling the size. This is a street view of the property. You can kind of see the existing condition here with some gravel. They would like to double that space Under our off-street parking requirements, which are fairly new, related to 1 and 2 families, the maximum width is 12 feet. Because this lot is fairly narrow, they can go to a 1-foot setback, but the variance request is for them to exceed the 12-foot width requirement here. And that requirement is in the code because they do not have a garage. So it's really the 12-foot dimension is the issue.
If we were to grant the variance as it's being requested, do we need to make some comment on approval or disapproval of the width of the driveway as it stands now? In other words, is that actually what we're here to consider, or is it because of what the proposed construction, so to speak, is?
I think it's a result of the proposed construction, yes.
All right. All right, before we go any further, is there anyone on the call tonight who is prepared to represent this item? If not, we know a lot about something that nobody cares to be here for.
Hi, I had to unmute myself. My name is Christy Strands. I'm the owner of the unit.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Did you hear the discussion that we've had up till now regarding your item?
Yes. Yes.
Perhaps you could clarify for me anyway. We have a spot of gravel, and do you want to go deeper into your lot with the concrete?
Correct. Right now there's a 16-foot by I think 17 and a half feet parking plan that's pea gravel. We're asking to go an additional 17 and a half feet to accommodate 4 cars instead of 2. Because the families that live there right now, we do need additional parking spots. If we do the 12 feet, it doesn't give them enough room to move back and forth between each other to try to get, say, there's 4 cars in there. The person way at the front won't be able to bypass the other cars to even get out. So then it would create them to having to move more.
But that is the inevitable result of the way you're proposing it, right? You're proposing
Correct.
2 and 2.
Yes.
So somebody could well be in front of somebody who wants to get out.
Correct.
All right. I'll note that Noel Halverson has joined us. Hello, Noel. I guess I have no further questions. I'll pass this off to the other members of the board that are on the call. Gentlemen?
There's no issue of the adjacent property and the property line and being too close to that?
Not that
No.
we're aware of, no. I mean, the applicant has applied for a site plan. I haven't had a chance to look at that necessarily, but I don't believe that's an issue. Again, they have to maintain at least 1 foot on that side lot line.
And Paul, there's no other issue beyond just the width from 12 to 15. That's all we're considering, not the length, or how far back it goes, or parking on the side of the house, none of that.
Right, impervious coverage, none of those are issues at this point, no.
So if what the applicant had given us was for 12 feet, she wouldn't even need a variance. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
All right. And I have another question for the applicant. Do you have enough room on the side of your building? Because I believe you're going to be pushing off into the area between the building and the lot line.
We had the contractor out there, and we should have enough room to
All
still
right.
leave a foot on the other side of the property of the lot line.
All right. It wasn't clear to me whether there'd be enough room there, so I guess that's not our concern. We heard from Jim. Tommy or Tom or Noel, do you have any thoughts or questions?
I think those were my questions, was just making sure I was clarifying, the width, and then, if the width then is encroaching on the setback. And we don't have really an exact site plan, but, you know, I'm leaning towards approval. Should we add in a pending, you know, think that as long as it stays 1 foot from the lot line? I mean, do we need that?
We probably should, since we don't have a good site plan to cite, so to speak.
Or you could reference, you know, all other, you know, standard site plan requirements as well, but it's really up to you.
To get back to my concern, Paul, the applicant's proposing something that's 15 feet wide and we've got a 12-foot driveway. How do we need to address that, or if we accept it or deny it, do we need to make any comment on that?
Well, as I mentioned before, we did update our off-street parking requirements a little bit, and this is one of those. I think that requirement really seemed to address more with single families and not so much two families. So I would have to say that this really doesn't line up very well with the code. It's something we may have to consider if we make revisions down the road, but you know, I think it really is intended to reduce parking, but in this case, it might be desirable to accommodate more parking for the tenants.
Yeah, Ms. Strands, have you considered actually widening your driveway?
So right now, we can only fit 2 cars side by side. We're trying to still put concrete on that slab that can fit 2 side by side, but then also extend it farther to go longer so we can
Right,
fit
I understand,
2.
but I'm wondering if you feel the need or have any plans to actually expand the driveway cut on the curb, which right now is kind of too small for 15 feet, and you actually end up driving over some of your land.
I don't think we had any plan to do that
Right.
because I think it would go, I'm on my phone right now, so I can't see
Right.
the visual. I
It's
remember seeing the
hard
aerial
to see
view.
over the phone, I agree.
So again, I'm not sure the width at the property line. If it does exceed that width, they'll have to taper back in. They'll have to kind of create a little taper on both sides so, you know, it can meet the opening at the sidewalk, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my problem, is that I think she wants all 15 feet as a driveway.
Right.
Anyway, am I barking up the wrong tree here, guys? I'm the only one speaking, and I think there may be some other questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'm keeping quiet and not going to participate in the discussion, and will abstain on the vote as I work for a company that owns adjacent properties.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Noel. Right, I guess we're at the point where we talk about this without Noel. We still do have 4 members of the board, so we still can make a vote. Tom Hoy, did you have any questions on this?
No, my comment would be that it's an existing pea gravel driveway and it's going to be turned into concrete, which is going to be an upgrade to the property as well as to, you know, the value of the property. So I would be in favor of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am too. It's hard to see where this is a negative. So maybe a motion would be in order, guys, before I talk some more.
I make a motion to approve as requested.
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance request for the property at 417 North Ashland Avenue. Any further discussion, gentlemen? If not, if you're in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Ms. Strands, you've got your variance.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Sure, you're welcome. All right, next item up is the property on Bear Creek Road. I see Ms. McKeefery is on the line.
Hi.
But before we get to you, ma'am, I want to hear from Paul to tee up what we have here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a property located on 508 Bear Creek Road. This is a single-family home that happens to be located in a very density residential zoning, which is actually one of our multifamily zonings. So this property is on kind of the northeast side of Bear Creek, across the hills. What they'd like to do is add a second detached accessory structure. You can kind of see outlined here, kind of this purple color here. So they have one already that's at about 160 square feet, and that's located up near the northeast corner of the property. They have an attached garage, and I believe they're proposing about a 780 square foot second detached structure. So the code allows for the first structure to be up to 1,000 square feet. The second structure can't be any greater than 150. So depending how you kind of consider what was, this goes over one of those requirements, but it goes over the requirement of this 150. So it's a variance, not so much for the combination of these accessory uses, but for that second structure exceeding the 150 square foot requirement that's specified for accessory structures.
Okay. But there's no side yard setback concerns?
No, they're complying with that as shown. It's a rather large lot, so there's a lot of room to roam there.
Yep. All right. I guess the question that I have right off the bat for Ms. McKeefery is, have you considered simply removing the existing small building and just having the new one?
Really considered that.
Because in a way, your request could also be considered a variance request to keep that back smaller storage shed.
Well, I guess what the new building that we'd like to build is gonna take up the things that we want to put in there. Is most of the stuff is gonna take up the whole building. And then we would like to be able to, in the winter time, bring our winter snow blower and stuff into the bigger garage and then store our summer stuff in the shed and just kind of swap it back and forth. We feel that we have enough room in our yard to still have a lot of green space. So it's not like we're using our whole yard to build a building.
That was the only question I had. So let me hand this off to the other members of the board for questions or comments.
Paul, can you clarify what you were saying earlier about first structure versus second structure? Obviously there's a structure already up that's above 150 at 190. But you said there was a first structure can be a certain size, then a second structure can be a certain size?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's a little confusing, but I guess we have to really treat the existing structure, the 160 square foot shed, as the first structure. So the first structure can go up to 1,000 square feet, which typically is more or less the size of a garage or a large garage. So that one's kind of accounted for. So this is related now to the second accessory structure, and that limit is limited to 150 square feet. Well, they're going over that quite a bit to 780, I believe is the number, 780 square feet. So again, it's not the combination of the accessory uses, it's just simply the second detached structure exceeding the allowable square footage under the code.
What is the size again of the first one? Sorry, my phone was ringing in the background and I tried to mute it. And so I missed, what's the size of the first structure?
The first one is 1,000 square feet.
So in essence, horse cart, if this was built first, then it would be fine. And the second one would need to be a variance because it's 40 square feet above the 150.
I think I estimated about 160, so it's about 10 square feet. So I think, yeah, in essence, what you're saying is they would need a variance for both, yes. Well, at least for the second structure, yes.
The current first structure, but if we considered it the second structure, everything would be okay. Just a building order, correct?
Right, right.
I mean, I'll mention to the board, my comment is knowing that now, whereas before I didn't know that. That to me is a horse, cart horse thing. If it was built one way, there's no issue except for, a slight variance on the second structure that's, slightly over 150 feet. So I don't know, that to me, that changes kind of my viewpoint a bit on it. Just flipping what you consider as first or second.
Right. Other comments or questions, gentlemen?
Yeah, I just have to say, I think the kind of going where I think Tommy's going, it's, I understand order of the precedence of things and when they're built and that sort of thing is important from a permit process and a management process. But at the end of the day, the ordinance allows, 2 accessory structures, one not to exceed 1,000 feet and a second one not to exceed 150 square feet. And if they were coming here for a 10 square foot variance on a shed, we'd have already been done with the item. So I'm not inclined to split hairs over this.
I agree. You said it well. I think a motion is probably in order.
I would move to approve the variances requested.
I'll second.
All right, regarding the property at 508 Baird Creek Road, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance request for the second structure. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Looks like you have your variance.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
You're
gentlemen.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for that clarification, Paul, because there was a different inclination when I was reading the notes today. So that really helped.
Yep.
Okay, next up, we have the Mowen Associates plan for a second structure for the Jackie Nitschke Center. Do you want to give us what we need to know?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quickly, this is 108 North Quincy, the corner of North Quincy and East Walnut Street. This is part of the Jackie Nitschke campus, and they recently received a conditional use permit for a shelter facility on this site. And this is a site plan showing a second building that's being proposed on the site. There's an existing building here, residential use, another residential use proposed here. The variance tonight is simply the spacing of the drives. There's an existing drive to the parcel. This is one parcel, kind of an L-shaped piece. With the addition of the second dwelling, they're going to add a second driveway as well. Because it's zoned office residential and these uses are actually considered commercial type uses, the spacing between the drives has to be no less than 200 feet. And these certainly are less than 200 feet. So the request simply is a dimensional issue. So for a driveway separation less than 200 feet.
Okay, Paul, has traffic or whomever we usually ask about these things weighed in on this issue?
No.
And the other question I have is, what if the discussion tonight was simply for the driveway that's being requested and the other driveway wasn't there? So it was just, what's being requested, the first driveway without a second driveway existing? The reason I'm asking is I'm concerned about how close it is to the corner, and maybe I'm raising something that nobody else really cares about.
Well, sure. I mean, that's a legitimate question. So I think North Quincy is actually probably just a local street. I don't believe it's a collector type street. So, but the spacing for commercial drives has to be a minimum of 35 feet from the intersecting street. This is certainly well beyond that. There is an existing drive. They're going to actually remove that and push that drive up a little bit further to the north. So it's even further away from the intersection than from what the existing drive is.
All right. All right.
And if these were all residential structures, single family homes or something we were talking about, we wouldn't be having this conversation because that would be perfectly acceptable.
Correct.
So if the lot was actually cut in half,
Right. Yeah. I mean, each tax parcel is entitled to one driveway cut. It just happens to be that this is part of one parcel.
Yeah.
with
Got it.
two separate, basically residential uses, or kind of, I guess you'd say multifamily, I suppose, types of uses.
I think, from we've got a test about, for the community good as well, and considering these things, I'm encouraged to see that vacant lot be developed. Granted, it's probably not going on the tells as another structure owned by a not-for-profit, but it'll fill a vacant lot, near busy down. I think that that campus has been growing and well maintained, and I think it's appropriate for the facilities. And if these are residential uses, albeit a commercial zoning use, but really residential structures. And if they were homes, we wouldn't have this limit. I think this, that spacing requirement, I don't even know if the block itself is 200 feet long. That stretch of, the 100 block of North Quincy, that's a code that makes sense in a commercial area. This is really kind of the edge of downtown in a residential kind of character area with a number of institutional uses peppered throughout it, and homes converted to businesses and things like that in that area. I don't see anything here that's out of character with the prevailing form of that portion of the neighborhood. I would support the request as presented.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Tom, Tommy, Jim, any further discussion, questions?
Not for
If not,
me.
I suspect a motion would be in order.
I would move to approve the zoning variance as requested.
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance request for the property at 108 8th Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, they have their variance.
I think that was Mount Associates easiest one ever.
I know. Whoever's on here from Mao, you didn't have to say a word.
No, thank you all. Have a good night.
It was
It's always
so
good to
well,
see you.
it was so well designed. It was just open shut. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
All right, the last item that we have to talk about tonight is on Cherry Street regarding a new home, or at least a detached garage for a single-family dwelling. You want to help us out on this one, Paul?
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is a property located at 1255 Cherry Street. It's a vacant lot, zone low density residential. It's an infill lot, and someone is proposing to construct a home, single family, as well as a detached garage. The unique thing here is that this has double frontage. It has frontage, public street frontage on both Cherry and St. Clair. When you look at the site plan, this is Cherry Street here, kind of to the left side, and then St. Clair. Because it has double frontages, the way we interpret that is that it still has to meet all setback requirements from public streets. So in this case, because it's a detached garage, those structures have to be set back 55 feet from the public street. So I cut it. 55 feet is probably not going to give you or leave you with much room, certainly for a detached structure to be placed on the site. So the variance here is to reduce that 55-foot setback to permit the detached garage.
Ah, okay. So this is well, maybe I should let the representative for this item speak instead of.
Or we could just move to approve it.
Yeah.
Seriously, that site layout is exactly a conventional single-family residence with a garage layout. The only reason they're here is because it's a double fronting lot.
Yeah.
And it's in an awkward situation. That's a unique street. I think almost every home on that block is double fronting. And they'd all face this. It's just one of those weird things that happen in cities. And I think we should just approve this.
All right. I agree, Noel. Go ahead.
I move that we approve the variance as requested.
I'll second.
All right. We are in violent agreement again. All in favor of approving the variance requested for the 1255 Cherry Street property? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That was easy.
Yeah.
So
That
Mr.
was like,
Laments.
that was like the fastest meeting ever.
Well,
Yeah.
we done the election, you didn't get through the election yet, did you?
No, I gotta say that the Boca arrangement that you and Tommy have is very, very interesting. I admire that. I gotta figure that one out.
It's in the settings under backgrounds, blur background.
Madison Smith, did we forget to bring you into any of the discussion here?
No, I'm just gatekeeping, listening.
All right.
It was
So
quick.
Madison
That
is
was
the
good.
planner on staff, and we usually double team here we need someone to do the gatekeeping. So Madison sits in for us. So she's kind of behind the scenes, but along with Jesse, she's here as well.
Oh, I thought maybe we had some fans.
I'm sorry.
I'm a big fan.
All
Well,
right, I
Don,
think
the
we need-
fans just watch the recording after it's posted to the website. So
That's right. That's right. Our groupies can have an extra way to see us.
She was
All right.
super excited about the backgrounds, and she was like, "What? Let's
Yeah,
go!"
no, that's why I was thinking, okay, I should have a beach behind me or something.
Yeah, sure beats mine. All right, we got to close the floor, and then we can get to the informational stuff, if any.
move to
Motion to close the floor. Oh, second.
Second.
All in favor of closing the floor?
Good luck with that one, Jessica.
Take your pick.
All right, now we get to have Paul tell us what we have, if anything, for informational.
October meeting, sorry.
All right. Okay, without further ado, gentlemen, I don't see any reason to keep us using up bandwidth, so.
Well, I'm sorry I was tardy. Did we have the election or did we push that back
No.
until,
No, we pushed it back because Greg isn't here.
because Greg isn't here? Okay.
Yeah, I think we should have everybody. Once I had hoped everybody in physical presence, but we may be lucky just to be able to have 5 or 6 people available for Zoom, so.
All
We'll
right,
wait. It's been pushed forward to the next one.
great. Move to adjourn.
Oh, second.
All in favor to adjourn?
Say bye.
Aye.
Aye. See ya.
Good to see you all.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care, everybody.
See you next time.
Yep.